Hello, football fans, and welcome to another edition of From the Coach's Office, brought to you by the Varsity Voices Media Network. Today, we welcome to the show the head coach of the St. Rita Mustangs, Martin Hopkins. A 2008 graduate of St. Rita, Coach Hopkins spent 9 years as a member of the University of Iowa coaching staff and returned to his alma mater to take the head coach position in 2022. Entering his fourth season at the helm, the Mustangs are poised for another deep run in 2025. Coach Hopkins, welcome to the program.
Thank you guys very much for having me. Appreciate it.
If you are looking to buy or sell a home, contact RE/MAX Realtor and Circle of Legends recipient Christopher Cobb. Let Chris's extensive negotiating experience work to guide you on all of your real estate buying and selling needs. Contact Christopher now to discuss the right strategy for your personalized real estate buying and selling plan. His number is 630-420-0070, or you can visit his website at christophercobb.com. Coach, I have a bunch of football questions, as I know Joe does too, but I feel like I'd be remiss and going against the church if my first question wasn't about Pope Leo. What has the spring and summer been like with that announcement? And while it's not necessarily football related, what type of energy has that brought to the school and the community?
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. Not many people can say they have had the chance to meet the Pope or interact with the Pope, but we have several faculty and staff members that are good friends with him. One of our one of our brothers actually lived with him for a little bit, and they exchanged emails after he was announced the Pope, and he wrote a letter to the student body and stuff like that. So it's been pretty cool. And I know a lot of people had the chance to actually go over to Italy. Some St. Rita staff members and St. Rita alumni have had the chance to meet him since he's been the Pope, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so being a St. Rita alum, Coach, what does it mean to you kind of personally to lead the program at St. Rita with the tradition and history of St. Rita football?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because growing up, I always just thought of St. Rita as, this kind of, you've heard all the tradition, the legacy, all the stories that go before it, but then you also hear about all the coaches, Coach Cronin, Coach Brady, Coach Burnett, Coach Kuska. Never really did I see myself falling in that, kind of group of names. And I'm nowhere near their legacy and what they've achieved. But, just to kind of be able to learn from Coach Burnett, Coach Kuska, kind of carry on those coaches' legacies and St. Rita football legacies to keep the alumni proud and engaged has been pretty cool. And it's a big honor for me.
Coach, I've got another question, not necessarily football related, maybe a little bit, but in preparing for the interview, going through social media and some of those things and your posts and that, I noticed that you had reposted fellow Southsider Katie Schumacher Cawley, All-American volleyball and basketball player at Mother McCauley, and Penn State volleyball national championship winner as a player and a coach. She received the Jimmy V Perseverance Award last week at the ESPYs, and she had an outstanding speech. Is there anything that you can take from that and a speech or moment like that and pass on to your players?
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. We actually are. We grew up in the same parish as the Schumachers, so we know the Schumacher family pretty well. Our family runs a foundation, the Tom Hopkins Foundation. We had a big softball tournament. It was actually the week before the ESPYs, and Katie was out there. She caught the first pitch from Patrick Juarez, so it was a pretty cool moment. But just when you watch Katie and what she embodies, just in terms of putting the team before herself, putting her family before herself while she's all going through such a hard time. I mean, it kind of just says so much when you watch what she did in the moment of some people's hardest times. She went out and achieved, a national championship, which many people cannot do in their best, right? So she kind of showed what it means to put others before her while also taking care of herself and battling. So it's a pretty cool moment. Sometimes people don't understand sports are not they're not everything, but they do help you kind of fight through adversity. And it's always a good thing to be a part of a team, be a part of something bigger than yourself. And I think Katie showed that with her team and her coaches at Penn State, battling around her and rallying around her and winning a national championship.
So congratulations on an excellent season last year, Coach. We enjoyed covering St. Rita football. We enjoyed watching it. We had a chance to do that a lot. We also had a chance to come out and present one of our Dog of the Week awards to one of your players. So just all in all, a really good season. What are your expectations for this upcoming season, and any specific goals you're emphasizing with your team this year?
Yeah, really, we're pretty fortunate. We bring a good amount of starters back. The one thing is I stress to all the guys is take it 1 week at a time. All right. So our three goals are we want to win week one, and we take each week 1 week at a time. Then we want to win our conference, and then obviously we want to win a state championship. But I tell all those guys you can't do the last thing without focusing 1 week at a time. So right now we're worried about in this phase, our summer phase, just taking care of getting ourselves ready for the fall portion. Like I said, we're in our last 2 days of practice, so got a lot of our installs, our playbooks put in, things like that, and then we'll start game planning once we come back in the fall. But I know the guys are looking forward. We have a couple big games to start with Marist, Mount Carmel, Brother Rice, Wheaton, St. Francis the first 4 weeks. So we'll find out pretty early where we lie. But I know the same thing is kind of how it was last year too. And our guys were up for the challenge. I tell them this is a new team, a new year. Now we got to go out. We got to prove ourselves.
Coach, you mentioned the schedule a little bit, and we talk all the time with coaches and players and parents about the unrelenting grind of the CCL, and the Green Division's no different. But as you mentioned, you've upped the ante a little bit this year, hosting Marist in week one before playing traditional rival Mount Carmel in week two. What is it about the South Side rivalries that makes them so special?
Yeah, it's funny because I tell all the kids, a lot of these kids, some of them they were your best friends in grammar school. You played 7th or 8th grade football together, and now you're on the other side of things. So there's a lot of tradition. There's a lot of like I said, whether it's friends or on the other side of it, a lot of these kids know each other. They grew up together, so it's kind of a little bit neighborhood bragging rights, so to speak. And I think that the biggest thing for these guys is just treat it like any other game. Don't worry too much about all the things outside of the game and all that. Just treat it like another football game, and I think they'll be ready for it. So I'm excited about it.
You say that, and I'm a big maps guy. Joe teases me on the podcast. I like to look and see where the natural rivalries are. I feel like I'm part of one of those progressive commercials of turning into your parents. But I love to look at the map. And when you bring up a map of St. Rita, you can't help but see like Leo, St. Lawrence, Marist, Brother Rice, all in that same computer screen, right? And and it seems like such a unique situation from my point of view as a suburbanite. I have to ask, do you love it, hate it, or is it a little of both?
No, it's definitely it's a unique situation. Going to college in Iowa, I talked to some people about kind of our setup, and they're like, "Wait, what? Like you guys just don't go to one local Catholic school or one local public school?" I'm like, "No, there's about 10 public schools right in the same spot." The good thing is there's a lot of good schools. They all offer something different, so it gives the kids all different opportunity. I think the best thing is we're all very proud Catholic League schools. So at the end of the day, we're all cut from the same cloth. We just offer some little different twists and niches and things like that. But it's when it comes to trying to get enrollment up and things like that, it's a little bit of we kind of kill each other a little bit, so to speak.
So it's definitely a grind, your schedule. And I looked at it as well, and I thought, why are they playing all Chicago Catholic teams throughout the year, even in the first 2 games of the year? How do you prepare your team from a mental and physical aspect for the grind of the CCL schedule?
Yep. The biggest thing in terms of physically is we got to get our guys in the weight room. That started back in January. We have a great strength coach, Coach Ryan Thompson. He oversees our strength program, and we've had those guys going, like I said, back in January all the way up until May, and then we started with our summer program. So that's the physical part of things. Obviously, the way we structure our practices, we want to make sure we're getting good work in, but we're making sure we're staying healthy and things like that. And then the mental aspect is just creating adverse situations throughout practice, third down situations, red zone, trying to make sure that we're working on our mental toughness, but we're also working on, like you said, that physical aspect. When it comes late in the third or fourth quarter, we want to make sure we're still sharp. We're still the most physical team, also the most mentally prepared team. So a lot of that comes in the off season, and then as we transition into game week, we'll make sure we get our guys ready with the game plan, film prep, and all that stuff. Try to make the mental portion an advantage as much as you can. The one thing about the physicalness is we're not a team of 120 kids where we can't go out there and practice all summer long, beat each other up. So we got to kind of be smart about that. But I think our kids have done a good job, of doing their part. When we're out there practicing, let's make sure we're moving around, working hard. And then come game week, we'll be ready.
Coach, you mentioned physicality, and Joe and I, covering the games last year, we loved how your team played defense, and highlighted by Zuko's Dog of the Week winner, Justin Buckner, and you had other standouts, James Kingsbury, among others. Who do we look for this year to lead the defense in the style that you like to play?
Yeah, definitely. I think Owen Lynch will be that guy. He's coming back. He was our Mike linebacker last year as a junior. He's one of our captains. He's having a really good summer. Owen is not afraid to hit you, but he's also a very good athlete. He moves around very well in the pass game, runs sideline to sideline. I'm super excited for him. I know he's been working hard all off season. He's like I said, he's one of our captains, and he's ready to get back at it and kind of revenge those losses from last year, and work towards that state championship and that Catholic League championship.
What about the other side of the ball, Coach? Who should we be on the lookout for this year from St. Rita as far as your offense is concerned?
Yeah, the good thing is it's always nice to return a quarterback. We got Steven Armbruster coming back, our quarterback. He'll have over 20 starts by now going into this season, just with his starts from his sophomore season as well. And then we also have Walter Jones and Donovan Evans at the receiver spots. Walter's a senior, or will be a senior this fall, and Donovan will be a junior. Both of them are very dynamic receivers. It's good for Steven to kind of have those big, long targets. And then Brandon Johnson will be in the backfield. Brandon played a little bit last year, and Nick Herman was out, so he's excited to kind of fill that role of more the premier guy and get some more touches. So I know those guys are all excited about that. But we'll have those three guys coming back, and then Brandon will be a little bit more of a feature now.
Coach, you had a long run. You mentioned you played at Iowa, and then you were a staff member there for several years. And the continuity that Iowa's had with Coach Ferentz has been, obviously something of note throughout college football. Are you able to send a text, make a call to some of those former colleagues for advice, whether it be on the field or anything else?
Yeah, I still stay in touch with them. Coach Wallace, Seth Wallace, he's the guy I GA'd with him. And then he also recruits Chicago. So when he comes in, I'll see him every now and then. And then a couple of my good friends are still on the staff as quality controls and analysts. So I stayed in touch with them. I plan on getting out there this fall again. So I have a lot of good connections with the University of Iowa, especially with the football program. Coach Ferentz was very good to me, my family. He made sure he always took care of me. And just one thing I learned from him is it's about people and how you treat people. And the good thing, when I was my time at Iowa, I worked with a lot of good people, and they made a good impression on me.
So I was going to ask you, Coach, about, and this is kind of off the field stuff from a football standpoint, maybe high school sports standpoint, but it seems to be there's a lot of noise within high school football or high school sports these days, whether it's regarding NIL, whether it's regarding, transfers, right to play, those kinds of things. How do you address those kinds of things? And do you address them with your team, or is it something you think just kind of takes care of itself over the course of time?
Yeah, the one thing is it's hard to know what these young kids are thinking. And I always just ask them, like, hey, if you got a question or if you feel like this isn't the place for you, if you don't fit in, whatever it is, like, please come and talk to me just so we can be on the same page. Because sometimes they assume something and it's not the truth, or they might have had a feeling of, oh, I don't have a chance to play here, or this isn't the best place for me. But it's like, let's just come and talk about it, because you never know what they're thinking. But at the end of the day, you just try to educate them. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And sometimes people always say, oh, hey, well, I can go over here. They told me I'm going to start. Well, hey, if you're going to get promised things, it's not always going to work out for you.
Right.
One, you don't want anyone to promise you anything, because you should have to work for it. So when I have these conversations with kids, I just try to educate them. At the end of the day, I'm never going to force anyone to try to stay at St. Rita. I'm never going to recruit anyone to transfer to St. Rita. If they want to be at St. Rita, then most likely they'll either test there or they'll reach out to me. That's kind of how I go about it. Granted, when it comes to the whole transfer portal thing in college, I think it's a little bit of a trickle down effect where kids think, oh, I'll go somewhere else and it'll be better. I'll go somewhere else and it'll be better. Well, then you can also look a lot of the college things now after a couple of years, it wasn't better for those guys. So now you kind of have some examples to share with these kids to kind of talk to them about it. When it comes to the NIL, it's a little bit of the same thing. So we're not too heavily involved in the NIL. I'll help our kids look for opportunities and things like that. I'll kind of educate them on it. But to me, I think the NCAA needs a lot more governance on it. So for us to allow high schoolers to kind of do it without any governance, it's kind of a little bit of a question. It's just one of those things. The NCAA just let the wild, wild west kind of open, and we're seeing how it's playing out right now. So I hope that doesn't trickle down to high school in terms of the NIL portion. I think a little bit of the transfer portal kind of is. You see a lot of kids going to multiple different schools. Some kids have been to 3 or 4 schools in 4 different years. But the one thing I do truly believe is if a kid's going to succeed, he has to be where he wants to be at the end of the day. And in order for him to succeed, he needs to be surrounded by the right people. And I think all that goes into making your high school decision. Some kids might choose one school and feel like it was the wrong decision. It's okay to transfer. I think one kid should be given one transfer, and then leave it at that. You might have made a mistake. You move on one time, and then that's that. But like what we got going on now, it's a little bit concerning.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. Go ahead, Joe.
Dan and I, in some previous episodes, we've had some NIL experts on. We've debated it back and forth as to what we think is the right approach, and agree with you completely, Coach, that there's this trickle-down effect from college to high school, and it's just unavoidable. So is this a train on the tracks, which you're just not going to be able to stop, or is there some way to put some kind of guardrails around some of these things? So I think from your standpoint, especially regarding transfers, I'm with you on that. Maybe allow kids one transfer in their high school career. They're in the wrong situation, whatever it might be. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next several years as far as being able to adjust at the state level and with the IHSA, and what that's going to mean overall for high school football in Illinois. Yeah.
Coach,
So,
we keeping it kind of off the field a little bit. We talk a lot about what's happening on the field and how teams play, and obviously there's a lot of issues that happen off the field. But as far as long term look at the program and success of your players, how do you measure that? Beyond the scoreboard, what are you trying to show your players and make sure they leave with when they leave St. Rita?
Yeah, the biggest thing is it's funny. It used to be, and I'm not saying it used to be, everyone, hey, go to college, go to college, go to college. I want my kids to understand it's not the end all be all. There's a lot of union jobs out there. Some people get into family businesses. Some people get into the military. Some people get into law enforcement, whatever it is. But what you need to learn is you need to learn how to, while you're at school, while you're in high school, it's how to be organized, how to battle through adversity, right? How to work with teammates, how to learn how to work with people from different backgrounds and all that stuff. And I think sports is a great avenue for that. So I want my kids when they leave St. Rita in 5 years, I want them to come back and say, "Hey, thank you for teaching me these life lessons." Like I do want to win state championships. I do want kids to go on to play college sports, go on to play NFL football, and all those things. But that's not forever. I want them to become good brothers, good sons, good fathers, all those kind of things. And I think the life lessons that they can learn in football, the life lessons that they can learn in St. Rita can help set them up on that track. It's one of those things where you don't know about it right away, but when they come back 5 or 10 years from now and they kind of, they say thank you, or you see them having their role, impacting the community and things like that. That's what I look forward to most.
So St. Rita is a tradition-rich school and football program, and I think anybody who follows the Chicago Catholic League and the schools within it knows that. But are there any unique St. Rita traditions that maybe some fans outside of the program might not know about, Coach?
So one that we kind of brought back recently, the way our locker room set up at our school is it's at the opposite end of the building. And St. Rita it used to be Quigley South. It was an old seminary, and there's tunnels throughout the whole entire basement is just a bunch of tunnels to access the whole entire school. Well, there's a long tunnel that goes from our locker room all the way out to the front end of the school that goes towards the stadium. Years ago, I guess they used to walk that tunnel, and there's like home of the Mustangs, a bunch of stuff down there. So 2 years ago, we started doing it again. And now we got like a bunch of lights and stuff down there, music, fog machines. So it's pretty cool. We got some speakers put in there this off season, so the music's gonna be nice and loud for them. And then we just got our video board put in, so now we're gonna have them. They're gonna film the walkout and all that stuff. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Now people can kind of get an inside look at it. But it was one of those traditions that I never really knew about. It went away for a couple of years, and then we were able to bring it back recently. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I want to walk that tunnel, Coach.
Yeah,
for one of the
Hey,
games this year.
we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I might get too hyped up. I'd have to be at the back of the tunnel, back of the group, because I'll
Right,
get run over
exactly.
for sure.
Run
Yeah.
over for sure.
Coach, hard hitting question here. As I always kind of wrap up, and this is my last question. I'm guessing Joe probably has one or two more, but ton of good choices for meals on the South Side. But I got to know where the staff chooses to go for after meetings or after practice, after game. Where do you guys go to grab a bite?
Yeah, so we everyone has their own little favorite, but 63rd Palermo's is definitely the pizza spot for our staff. It's right down the street. It's never misses. And then Tony's Beef is another one.
Tony's Beef.
Tony's Beef on Pulaski. You got to check it out.
Good.
You're going to bookmark this, Joe? Make sure you bookmark this.
I'm writing it down, of course. Yeah. So the other thing, a hard-hitting question here, Coach. If we were going to create a T-shirt, and on the front of the T-shirt was going to be a hashtag and a phrase, a word, whatever it might be regarding St. Rita and St. Rita football, what would that be? What would that hashtag be in your mind?
Yeah, I think together is a good word that comes to mind. One thing that I always stress to the kids in St. Rita football is we have a whole school behind us. We're very fortunate. The school, the principal, president, athletic department fully supports these kids. All the students do. We support the other sports as well. It's very special when you come out to an event and you see all their classmates out there, all their family members out there. And then you take that aside and you just talk about our football program. You can't do anything in football without being a group, being one. It's a very unique sport where it takes 11 guys on the field at the same time doing one thing. It's not basketball or golf where it's kind of a little more individualized. So if you're not together, if you're not a close-knit group on and off the field, it's hard to be successful. It's hard to fight through the adversity. When things get tough and you can lean on your brother and hey, this guy's got my back, it's something special, not only in the game, but also outside of the game. If you got something going on at home, if you got something going on with your family, your friends, whatever it is, when you can turn to someone that you can really count on and have that togetherness, it says a lot. So I hope together is the word that describes our program and in our school.
Great. And last question for you, Coach. And I've had the opportunity, or Dan and I have had the opportunity to interview several of the coaches within the Chicago Catholic League. And, I've asked them all the same question. So I'll ask it to you as well. So if we're sitting down a year from now and doing the same kind of interview on our podcast, what do you hope we're talking about as far as St. Rita football 1 year from now and what's happened over the past year?
Hopefully we're talking about our Catholic League Green Championship and then our state championship. I'd also like the chance to be talking about 3 or 4 kids that signed to go Division I. I know we have a handful of kids with offers and they have aspirations to get there. So not only do I want to reach those team goals, but also those individual goals for those seniors who have been working hard this whole offseason these last 4 years as well.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you are set up for success, and that's what our expectations are here at Varsity Voices following St. Rita. We want to thank you for joining us this week and wish you the best of luck this season. Try and stay cool these last couple of days of practice, but good luck, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you, Dan and Joe. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. I'll definitely be back on. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys for all the coverage you guys do of high school sports in the Catholic League as well.
Thanks, Coach. Well, that'll do it for this week on From the Coach's Office, brought to you by the Varsity Voices Media Network. We want to thank St. Rita head coach Martin Hopkins for joining us today. If you like what you heard, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and tell a friend. We appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you soon.